The house I'm sitting in right now, it has a very special foundation, which is very conservative of materials and better for our planet. If you use a lot of materials, then you're polluting the planet. It's the end result. So this house, instead of having a foundation that goes below frost line, which is what I did for my first house in Del Norte, that's 5 feet around here. It's so cold in the valley. And that requires a huge amount of concrete, especially on a straw bale wall that's about 21 inches wide. So it's a lot of concrete. This house does not have that. It has a foundation that's only about 2 feet deep. And you'd think, well, the frost is going to get under there and lift the wall up. Well, it doesn't. Frank Lloyd Wright and people in Europe developed a special foundation called a shallow frost protected foundation. And the trick is to put insulation horizontally out in the dirt around the perimeter of the house. That way, even though the concrete is not below frost line is essentially raised at that point because the cold is 16 inches or 2 feet away from the wall, and it can't get down and go under the concrete in the first place. It's separated. As a matter of fact, the heat of the house will actually go out and heat that dirt a little bit and keep it from ever giving any kind of frost heat problems to the house. So this used very little concrete. It has a timber frame. We are using all natural materials, straw bale and adobes that would be damaged by rain or snow, and therefore we wanted the roof up first. I needed somewhere to store the adobes, somewhere to store the straw bales, and it was under this roof. This is where we did it. I've seen so many people make the mistake of getting excited about building straw bales, and it is exciting, but to preliminary order your bales is a bad idea. Stick them out there in the weather, they're not going to be ready. They're going to be destroyed by the time you get ready to build the house. The ceiling is wood. There is no sheetrock in this entire house, not one piece. Sheetrock, unfortunately, has paper on the back and a kind of semi-toxic glue between the paper and the sheetrock. Another thing that this house has is virtually no plywood. Even the roof, we used a just regular from the mill in La Jara there, rough sawn lumber that was a little variable in thickness, which was a slight problem for some of the roofers that came and looked at it. They didn't like that, but there was no plywood up there because plywood has toxic glues that are used in it, and when you heat that up with a roof that's metal and gets up to 200 degrees or more, that starts to outgas, especially tar paper. When you put tar paper under a metal roof and the sun shines on it, well, it's going to put toxic fumes into the air around the outside of the house. Tar is carcinogenic. It causes cancer. And when you have it blowing around the outside of your house, it's not good. You're out there working in your garden thinking you're getting healthy, and your house is killing you. So that's not good. So we used a type of rubber on this house, special roofing material that does not outgas. Did use metal because there's no tar in the shingles, like that's what shingles have. They're made out of tar, which is not good. And metal's very clean. The snow zips right off of it, and you could collect rainwater off a metal roof, and it's pretty clean. Unlike shingles, which could have tar mixed in with the water, and that's not good. So it's a good way to collect water. This house also has, and all passive solar houses should have, a correctly designed overhang. Right now, the sun in the winter comes over 10 feet back into this house, and that's the heating system, the sun shining through the windows. That's what heats it. At night, when the sun's gone, the adobe is releasing that heat back into the room. Now in the summer, that overhang that's out there is correctly designed so that absolutely no sun comes in the south window at all, except early in the morning. But once the sun gets up in the sky, it's completely shaded, and that way this house stays very cool. In fact, most people think that you're running an air conditioner when they come from a hot day outside in the forest and they come in here. They think there's an air conditioner on because it's so cool in this house, but it's not. It's just because the adobes are now not being heated by the sun anymore, and they stay cool naturally, not with your dollars being spent to run an air conditioner or anything like that. So overhang's important. But if you were to turn your house any angle other than true south, now the overhang doesn't work because the house is skewed to the sun. Any windows facing south, we had to actually special order to get normal, regular glass. Believe it or not, that's not normal anymore, regular glass. That's just clear glass. Almost everything you find at the big lumber supply stores are low E, which are actually good if you're facing east, west, or north, because low E windows don't let heat escape. They keep radiation heat inside the structure, so that they are actually good to keep heat in. They're like little insulated windows, where of course they're all double glazed. But the ones facing south, that's where the sun is, and I didn't want low E there, and so we had to actually special order those to allow maximum solar energy to come in and hit the floor. That's the whole idea. That is the heating system. These particular ones are Pella windows, which have a wood frame on the inside. It looks beautiful, but on the outside it has an aluminum painted skin that needs no maintenance. It's forever there. You don't have to go out and paint some wood out there every year because the sun deteriorated it. It's zero maintenance, which is really nice. The kitchen floor, in this case, is made out of cork. It's a natural cork. If you just go to the local, well, not local, but some of the lumber suppliers that aren't local, the big ones, you unfortunately find a lot of cork floors that have chemicals smeared all over them that aren't good for you. And a lot of that cork is kind of spongy, thick. It's about 3/8 of an inch, and it looks nice in the store, but it's probably too soft for a floor. But this floor is actually concrete through the whole house, and on top of that concrete is tile most everywhere. But in the kitchen, since the owner spends a lot of time walking in the kitchen floor, she wanted cork, which is softer on her feet. In fact, if you drop a plate on it, it might not break. It definitely will break when it hits this tile, but the cork floor is a little forgiving. It's a little soft. And of course, to keep it natural, she bought this very special all natural cork, fairly thin, and put beeswax on it, several coats of beeswax when she first did it, probably back in 2007, around there, and it's still the original beeswax on there to this day in 2010. If you notice behind me, there's a flowering plant. Even in the middle of winter, it's amazing that flowers still do bloom in this house. It's just like being inside a greenhouse. It's always comfortable. There are a lot of spider plants in the house. I would advise everyone to have spider plants because that's one of the best plants for sucking any kind of interior pollution out of the air, and it puts it in the roots of the plant where it's not hurting you anymore. So plants are a real good idea. Plus they moderate the humidity a little. They keep it a little more moist. And with a wood burning stove going at night, it does dry out the air somewhat, especially here in the valley where it is very dry to begin with. The Green Home Design course has actually 8 different segments to the course, and we designed it so that anyone from the public does not have to be a student. They can actually go to one class if that's what they want to do. They're all on Saturdays, so anybody from Crestone to Creed to anywhere in the valley that's close enough to drive on a Saturday morning, be here by 10 o'clock at Adams State College, can take this course. And they can take all the course. Of course, we've already had one class, which was the Passive Solar Design and Green Home Design yesterday on the 23rd of January. But we do have 7 more classes coming up, and 2 of those classes are actually hands-on workshops where the students actually go out and we build something. And in the very next workshop we always cover 2 subject matters, will be energy conservation, which I'll cover quickly, and then we'll jump right into straw bale construction, which seems to be one of the biggest interests to all the students. They all seem to be fascinated by the fact that you can build a house out of straw, and you really can. In fact, the best house you can build, as far as I'm concerned, is made of straw. This is our Crestone home tour. So that's another 2 of the classes we have. We have 2 workshops that are hands-on, and we have 2 tours where we actually take the students out. We take them inside a earthship house, we'll take them inside a straw bale house, an adobe house. We get to talk to the owners, students get to talk to the owners of the houses. Some are still under construction, some are already completed, and they get to find out, well, what did that owner do that he liked about the house? What did he do that he didn't like about the house? What mistakes were made? What would he do different next time? Those are extremely valuable lessons because I may not even know some of that stuff that's hands-on that the owner of that house has figured out, oh, I wouldn't do that again. Well, that helps all of us because we could make the same mistake, and some of those mistakes can cost thousands of dollars. So we're going to have the solar electricity, water heating, and wind power lecture. We're going to have healthy building and feng shui, and that's where we really get into the, why are these houses killing their occupants a lot of times, because there's so many chemicals used in houses that people don't know about. and then they get sick and they go to the hospital and they think it's something in their life, and it is. It could be their house. Another Saturday, we'll have another hands-on workshop, and it's one of my favorites because it's adobe construction. Even though straw bale's a lot of fun, adobe's more satisfying to me because you build a wall that's very heavy and it stores solar energy, like in this house. We'll bring the students to an earthship right in Alamosa. It's right there in town. In fact, the owner of that earthship is actually a student in the class. So that was interesting to have him in the class. It's great that he's there, and he'll take us to his house, and then we'll bring the students to several other houses on the way up to this house. We're going to cover backup heating, which is the wood-burning stove sitting over there, my favorite, as long as it's EPA approved. Passive cooling, which we really don't use that much, but some of the students, last year we had a student from Atlanta, Georgia, and it's hot there. So to him, passive cooling was important. And to a lot of people, retrofits. That's our last subject matter. And that is important because a lot of people have a house already and they want to figure out, how am I going to make this house more energy efficient?